Hello, so today we'll be going over Request for Proposal module. Now to get here, come down to Events and then Proposal Submission. Now we'll be going through this one right here. You can either edit a request or you can add a new request. If you would like to find the URLs that submitters would be using to make submissions, you'll come down here to Proposal Submission URLs and you'll find this one. So you can use this on your website or you can distribute it out to members or anyone else using this link right here. So this would be the page that they would be seeing. We'll go back down, we'll edit this request. You'll first see that the request name right here, and that will be displayed throughout the submission process. Description, so if you want to add anything else right in here. And the request type. So we have three different types, standard, and then convention and journal. These two right here create extra pages so you can build an itinerary based on accepted submissions. You can use any of the fields that say alternate or alt as a way to replace different terms or names throughout the submission process. So if I changed proposal to nominations or just nomination, go down here to continue. If I refresh, it'll say submit new nomination and then access existing one if you're allowing for editing. So we'll go back. The admin email, this would be the email address that would receive notification emails when someone has either submitted a new request or edited an existing request. To automatically open and close a request for proposal, you would enter in the dates right here. Otherwise, if you want to keep it open and then close it at any point, you can either enter in a date in the past, or you can come down to the very bottom and check this box, and it'll no longer be active. All right, so then we'll go to page 1. So this will be the first tab. So if we click on Submit New Nomination, we have the request name right here, and then each of these tabs. So this one right here would be page 1. So this is if you would like to rename this tab. Otherwise, it will just be presenter info. You can add verbiage right here in the description. And then right here would be the main presenter. If you would like for them to be a member or be a paid up member, you can select one of these. And then we also have fee for proposal submission. So this one right here would be if you would like to charge for a submission. It will create a non-dues invoice, and it will require for them to make the payment prior to them making this submission. If you do have it restricted to members or paid up members, it will require for them to log into the system. Otherwise, they won't be able to make a submission. You can also have a co-presenter member status checked. So if you want to require for the co-presenters to be members as well, that will determine whether or not they are members based on the email address that you enter in here. So if it matches an active member, then it will allow for you to add them as a co-presenter. Otherwise, you can leave it as not checked, and non-members would be able to make submissions or be listed as co-presenters as well. I did use the alt titles, so I just renamed these alt title presenter, and that actually changes it right over here. You can do the same for co-presenters. So anywhere where you see the alt, that's just a replacement. This would be the maximum number of co-presenters that you're allowing. So right now I have it set to 5, so you'll see 5 different options. And you can just click on them to expand it, fill out the details, and then you can move on. You can require a minimum number of co-presenters. So if you wanted at least one co-presenter to be listed, that would require for them to at least fill one of these out. If you're allowing for return and editing of submissions, you can make it so once it's been screened, they won't be able to edit the co-presenters. And then right here would be hiding different fields. So if you want to hide contact fields, that would be the address all the way down to the fax. And then you can hide other fields like biography, and then these ones right here. You can also make different fields mandatory. So same as these, they have hide for either presenter, co-presenter, or both. And these would be making each field mandatory for presenters, co-presenters, or both. Or you can leave it as not mandatory. For co-presenters, you can make it so a phone is mandatory. So that would be this one right here, the main phone. So either co-presenters or presenters can have those mandatory. And then you can also make for the co-presenter email to be mandatory as well. All right, so more alternate titles for these fields, and then your aux text field. So that would be right here. So if you want to change the title of that, you can also make it mandatory. So right now I have mine set as mandatory. And then you can also hide them. So the second page right here will be the second tab. I've renamed all of these fields just so you can see where they are. And then you can also put verbiage underneath. So the topic right here I've renamed, and I put verbiage right under here. Same thing with the proposal type verbiage. If you only have one available for either the types or the topics, this page will be skipped. If you only have one type but 2 topics, then this would just be hidden and they would be able to select a different topic. To edit the topics and types, we'll go down and continue. And this would be the proposal types. So you can adjust these, you can change where they are. So if I refresh, now it's in the right order. If I remove this one and refresh, now the type is hidden because there's only one available. But I can add a new one back in. You can also make it so anyone who makes a submission to a certain proposal type, that they can only be assigned to a committee by an admin. Otherwise, it would be anyone who has access to assign request for proposal submissions. Refresh, and now it pops up again. Now to change the topics, we would actually go back and do proposal submission. And we'll go to topic committees. Now this is where these would be. You can edit them or you can add a new one. So if we go ahead and edit topic, it's the topic name and their description. And you can assign screeners. So this would be the first individual who would be either accepting or rejecting, and then the scorers who would actually be scoring the submissions if they have been accepted and assigned to them. So this actually allows for you to search the entire database and you would just list those right in here. And then if you want to remove them, you would just remove them right there. If you have a set amount of people or a set group of people for each one, and it doesn't really matter the topics or types, you can set all of the topics the same as this one. So then each one would have the same screeners and scorers. So now they match. So we'll go ahead and select these and save. Go back into this one by editing. And page 3. So these are the details. These are custom fields that you'll set up. The only option right now would just be an alternate label for the top. But if you'd like to see and edit all of these options right in here, we'll go down to the bottom, continue, and continue past the types. And right here would be the add change custom submission fields, which would be these right here. We have a selection field. This can be one selection or multi-select. Indicator field, so I have this dependent, and I'll show you below. Comments, so this is a multi-line comment field. And then short text field, so roughly 100 characters. Verbiage fields are for instructions, so the person making the submission cannot actually submit anything associated with this. It's just for instructions. So you'll see I have my selection multi-select option and a description. For these fields right here, selection, indicator, comment, and short text, these all require a name. The only one that does not require a name is the verbiage field. So you can leave this headline blank and just enter in information in here. To make a selection option or multi-select mandatory, you have to at least set it to a minimum selection of 1. And then you can select up to how many ever options you want them to have the option to select. If you hover over this select options, it'll give you a quick breakdown of what options are currently available. And if you want to edit the options available, you just click on this plus sign right here. You can add more options. So if I did option 4 and save changes, now if I refresh, I'll be given an extra option. So right now, I do not have to fill anything out or check any of these because I have set it 0 to 2. So now I can go back to custom submission fields. And you'll notice that I have this dependent. So this is dependent on, if I click on this little dependency right here, you'll see that this indicator is dependent on if they've selected option 2 from this checkbox. So if I select that, then I have this little indicator. You can have it to require for them to select both of these options. So if I refresh, or either. So if one of these are checked, then this indicator would come up. If I unselect one of those, select a different one, that one is hidden again. But as long as I select one of those, it'll pop up for me. And you can do these for other fields as well. All right, so we now have a comment field right here. You can make it mandatory, and you can also set a word limit. So if you want to limit them, let's say 500, and if I refresh, now it's 500. And as I type, it shows me how many words I've used so far. So short text field right there. You can also make it dependent on if a certain topic or type has been selected. So if you only want for this short text field to show up if someone has selected the topic 1. Then if I were to go back and select topic 2, this field would be hidden. You can also do that for verbiage. So if you want a different set of instructions for someone who selects a certain topic or type, then you can restrict that. If you'd like to reorder any of these, you can use these little arrows to move up or down, and it'll reorder them. So now my description is right there. So I'll go ahead and do this. Save and continue. And now we get to page or tab 3B. So I will go back. And to get to this one, we go back to the proposal submission. And for this request, edit request. And this would be page 3B, would be the agreement. If you remove this and remove the verbiage in here, it'll actually remove this tab. So this requires for them to put in their initials in order to move forward and agree to those terms. And then we'd be taken to tab 4. So this would be the title, abstract, text, and upload files if you're allowing for that. So you can rename it right here in alternate titles. The title character limit right here. And then the abstract word limit. So if you'd like to limit the number of words that they use, you can do that here. You can also add a little blurb of information. And if you want to hide the proposal text, so this one right here, you can hide that. We also have a counter right there for the proposal text word limit. And then if you'd like to rename that. So this one right there. So aux proposal text field title would be right here along with the blurb, and then the title proposal text would be right in here if you want to use this one. Now you can add verbiage if you'd like to give them instructions regarding the files. So if you want to say that something is mandatory or the files that you expect for them to upload, you can edit that verbiage right in here. And then accept file submission. This allows for one file to be submitted, and it also makes it mandatory. So if you do not want to make files mandatory for submission, you can leave this checkbox unchecked and then select this one. So these are optional file submissions. So this gives it right here. You can also prevent them from resubmitting when they return an edit if you're allowing for that. And that would be only for the mandatory file right in here. So we can go ahead and enter in some test information. This isn't required, so I can move on. Now we have references. So references is optional. If we go down to this right here, reference document collection, you can allow for the number of references. So if you want to allow up to 2, or if you do not want to collect references, put it as 0 and it'll hide this page or this tab. So if we set it at 1, it'll then allow for you to set a number of mandatory. So let's say we want to allow for 2, but only make 1 mandatory. Then right in here, reference page verbiage. So if you want to add any verbiage right in here for them. And then reference letter submission. So this is allowing for someone to make a submission by the reference. So by default, it's by the reference only, but you can allow for the submitter presenter to make an upload on behalf of the reference, or you can require them. So references emails, you can make it so 2 emails are required, or you can make it 1 required, 1 optional, whichever you'd prefer. Also, you can have them confirm. So if I were to enter in some information, then it'll ask me to confirm. So I have to re-type in this same email address. So now it's confirmed. And then email reference requests. So you can either have it not send an email, so nothing is sent out to the reference, or you can make it upon this person making the submission. So the presenter's making the submission, it'll trigger an email to be sent out to the reference. Or you can make it only upon screening acceptance. So if it's been screened and accepted, then that will trigger the email to go out. All right, you can also email them a specific form. So if you've created one in the forms builder, you can select it from here. And then you can also have a secondary form request. It'll include the link to the form and the file upload, so for the letter itself. And then this would be the email to the reference, this right here. So you can provide anything right in here. Otherwise, it will consist a link to submit documents. So you'll want to enter in information regarding what you're requesting from them. Then on the page where they would be making the file submission, the default verbiage is right here, but you can replace that in here. Then the thank you page, so after they make the submission, this would be what they would see on that confirmation page. And then this right here would be an email that goes out to the presenter. And then it'll also include the name of the document that was submitted. So if you want to include anything in there, you can say your reference has made a submission. And then this right here is for when they're making a submission, not for the reference themselves, but this is for if you're allowing for those making a submission to return and edit. So this adds that little button during the beginning to allow for them to edit an existing request for proposal. All right, so we'll save and continue. If you are allowing for editing, this right here, you can allow for a copy of the email to be sent to co-presenters. If you make it editable, that would be this option right here, and you would need to include the passcode so they can return and edit. And then when they go to that page to return and edit, what would you like for them to see? So by default, you would probably want them to see the submission information. Another option would be presenter to prospect. So if you're allowing for non-members to make submissions, you can automatically add them to the database as a prospect record type, or you can select a different record type from this drop-down. You can also automatically send them an email with the username and password. Otherwise, you can uncheck that, and anyone who's not already in the database just won't be added. They'll still have the ability to edit using the passcode and their email address if you are allowing for it to be editable. So now we'll go over to the review and complete submission. So this right here would be this tab, page 5. So this is just a breakdown of everything that they've entered. Since we're allowing for return and edit, it'll give this right here, but it'll also be included in the confirmation email that the submitter receives. So the alternate submission verbiage right in here, if you want to add anything to there. And then once we click confirm and submit, by default you'll have a submit again link. So if we uncheck these boxes and continue, if we refresh, then we have those options again. So submit again. So if they want to make another submission, return to home page. And then if you want to add another link, so confirm page link, so this would be Memberleap website, and then the link, so the URL to where you want them to go. All right, well that's it for this one, and I will be going over next the screening and scoring configuration.